think conflict in the workplace. I think conflict with people. I think women carry I watch my husband manage conflict entirely different than I do. One, I have a very long fuse. I mean, it takes a lot, but when you get me to that point,
watch out. Nuclear.
It is nuclear. Okay. But conflict with women, I mean, I think we avoid it. It's hard in the workplace. It's done something that's really annoying, bothering us, angering us, and we let it steep. I mean, does that become one of the prevalent issues?
Yes. I mean, this is two things combined. One is our need for people to like us and to preserve relationships because of, you know, you can call it the double X chromosome or you can call it just stuff that's important to me. You know, I don't think everything has to relate back to some piece of data. You know, your intuition is actually incredibly valuable, and it is a neurological capability, and it's because babies can't talk. And so women have to be able to intuit what the needs are. This is like the red tent analogy, and it fast forwards today. Intuition is actually real for women. And so when, you know, I joke, like, if men had this, they'd be walking around like, me for president, you know, I'm psychic. You take some good lessons from that. Like, we should be bragging. Women don't promote themselves as much, and there's a way we can do it. But back to conflict. Okay, so there's the relationship part of it, and then there's the communication part of it. And women are, one of the negative patterns is women weakening their communication. So starting off sentences with, I think, I feel, I'm not sure if this is really what you're looking for, but, you know, and I'll do this still. And so once you mention that, and it's a thing where people are interacting, it's hilarious because everybody starts catching themselves. So there's those two things with regard to conflict. But back to the relationship thing. Okay. So this is not related to actual data because I don't get into the psychological relationship field that much, except as it relates to mentoring and supporting mentoring. Okay, so I do have some good data there, which I can share. But my personal experience with conflict, just based on my little focus group of friends and even stuff I've had with my family, is that we think we are honoring the relationship by not bringing up something negative. But in fact, we are doing a disservice to the relationship by not bringing up something negative because we are lying. And so to truly honor a relationship that you value, whether it's at work or at home, and I will say this, even in the toughest of situations, I will say, I am bringing this up not to criticize you, to be manipulative, to try to make you upset. I'm doing it to honor our relationship because you are important in my life. And that is the ultimate icebreaker for conflict. I have used it in situations, you know, from everywhere from a family member to like a construction contractor on my house. I don't say, you're important in my life.
Well, in a way, if he sticks in your bathroom, he is important in your life. You know?
He is. But be like, you're the man. You got to work with me on this, you know. And then with a family member, I'll say, I'm really trying to honor our relationship by bringing this up. I'm not doing like this. I'm not trying to make it your fault. I don't even think we need to solve it. It just to know that it's there, and like we can move on. Like I'll own up to my stuff usually. Like I'm pretty sensitive about things, you know. And I'll say, I know I'm sensitive about this issue. I own that, but that's why I react as follows when we have this conversation. And it's not going to get fixed. I came out that way, you know, but I'm bringing this up to let you know because I care about our relationship. And when and so you try to fix me, I'm letting you know, newsflash, ain't going to happen, okay? But when I'm reacting this way, it's about you. It's not saying something bad about you. I'm upset because I get upset about stuff. You know, I get upset about this kind of thing. Done. And you say, what's my role in this? And you own that, and you say, I'm bringing up this icky thing that gives me the willies to try to honor our relationship, and then just adapt it with professional talk, you know, for professional relationships.
I think that is great advice. I mean, framing the conversation, because I don't think we say necessarily something that's going on that's upsetting is, I value our relationship. I value you. I value what we're doing. I mean, I think that that's a great way, because I think sometimes we need to predicate what we're going to have our discussion about with the caring.
Well, I don't have the talk with people I don't value. I mean, you know, the bandwidth thing is really true. Like, I'm not going to bother. And I just have to train myself to live with that discomfort, to say, I'm not going to go in and fix it and make all happy, happy, dot, dot, smiley, you know. I am going to live with the discomfort for these army of acquaintances, and I'm going to really dive in and invest myself emotionally to make this better for people that matter in my professional and personal life. And then I always feel better afterwards. I always feel proud of myself. And, you know, and some of this is also like my aunt, who I'm very close with. She's in the mental health area. I didn't even realize it, but I basically had 40 years of therapy. And, you know, well, minus a couple years for when I wasn't talking. And I think it's really framed how I look at the world. And then I'm spit out into the world being married, working with students. I mean, I have somebody crying in my office, hands down, like one time a month every semester. So I hear it all, you know, and I don't judge. And I feel like there are tools to work through it. And I just kind of focus on that. I say, oh, what's the solution here?
You know, I think one of the things we're talking about, stop being what other people want you to be, stop being who you are to be. And I think that that's really key.
Well, this is the second time you've mentioned something like that. And I think it's a really important point. You know, that whole thing of like us caring about relationships and what is that line we're going to draw? Where is it good and where is it bad? So this is an area where it can be bad. When you care so much about your community and that the success of your community is your success, you also are at risk for externally generated self-image and externally generated self-confidence. So people want to know about eating disorders in girls, and it's like, hello, it's externally generated bad messaging. You know, we look at the Marc Jacobs ad, literally, somebody I think is an anorectic model, and we wonder why our girls are dieting starting at age 8. And so this is where we have to start thinking about this. If we didn't do it for ourselves, at least to do it for the next generation. To draw that line and say, here's where we care about outside forces. Yay, women, natural culture builders. Hire women in the office place. You probably could like save half your HR costs, okay, for real. And then the second thing, though, where we're going to say no, is where am I taking in messages, and where are the women and girls in my life taking in messages that are externally generated? And somebody needs, you know, to put the kibosh on that and say, this is BS. This is totally stupid, you know? And I've banned, for instance, I have a big thing with body image and eating disorders and things like that because I used to dance. And, you know, it's scary because that's where it can actually start to seem normal, you know? And I think it's different now. I think it's like I see a difference between the contemporary dancers and the ballet dancers now, and there was not such a difference when I was growing up. But I have to own up to that. I have to own up to my own kind of sick and warped thought processes that are still there from when I was younger because I have a daughter. And I will hear people like talking about my nieces or something and their weight, and I feel my blood boiling. And I went and told on them to my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. And I said, this is going to screw up a girl for life. I said, you got to stop this because these are the people in the inner circle. These are the people where, you know, you have the talk because you're honoring the relationship, right? And then they come back and they say this stuff. So this is a big thing. And self-confidence manifests a lot in girls around body image. And I think it's something like 92% of girls 16 and over, or maybe 12 and over, want to change something about their body.
Well, I'd say it's probably even higher than that. I think every girl, I think every woman. I mean, I think we are so critical. We are so self-critical. We don't need anyone to criticize us. We carry a huge armament right inside our own selves to be extraordinarily critical of ourselves.
Well, you know, sometimes there are these movies like Groundhog Day or all these Jim Carrey movies where he just sort of wakes up and is like, has some irritability. And what if you just woke up one day and you thought, well, I look awesome. I look really cute. Like, what if that was just your existence that day, right? What if it didn't even occur to you to think anything else? I'm always curious about that, like how freeing that would be. And I can't really teach that in my class because it's a business class, but I do kind of always dream of doing that as an exercise because we do communication exercises where we have to try on behaviors for a day, and people like take on the roommate that's been leaving the dishes in the sink for a week and all this stuff, you know, they have to be bold and blog about it and all this. But what if we ran an exercise where you woke up and every negative thought was like, you know, you had to think something positive? How fascinating would that be?
Actually,
you know?
there are studies that show that, because women, we like to hold on to all the old stuff. My husband calls that the dead horse that rides in our closet. So I'll bring it up and he goes,
You're an emotional hoarder?
I am an emotional, yeah, and it's all in this horse. You see, drag it out. But one of the things I found, and I read this a long time ago, is we hold on stuff. Like something happened today, I'm going to bring out what happened in the 4th grade. And so what happens, really, I mean, but yeah. But what we find is that, and I've started practicing that, if you take that memory that was devastating, emotionally harmful or whatever, you take it up and you say, okay, I'm thinking that this is it. Now I'm going to create a new memory about this. So instead of what happened being a criticism like you're fat or you're not pretty or your shoes are ugly, you change that to what would have made that a positive experience. Love your shoes. You are so pretty. You are wonderful. And you begin to, because what happens is you begin to frame things differently. So I think that that's one of the things you could do. The other thing, and this is really interesting, I just learned this recently, is that there is a thing where they're actually doing this now in therapy, where it's called tapping, and it's E-R-M. No, it's not E-T. E-R-M. Yeah. But what they find is that women, especially for women, because they're the ones who usually hold trauma in their body, is that we hold, what happens, this lock on the right side of our brain, and what we need to do is move it to become twined with the left side, and what that happens is once you take the logical, it lessens the trauma and actually takes it away. And how you do that is by tapping. So you tap both your legs, your arms like this. So anytime you feel yourself getting upset, you have a bad memory, start doing that, because what you're happening. Well, I was in the day after I heard this, I was stuck in traffic late to a meeting, and that always sets me off. And I'm in my car driving down the street. I'm upset. What's upsetting me? It's got to be a childhood thing. I don't remember ever being stuck in traffic. But I'm having this, and then I'm doing this, and I'm stuck in traffic, and there are construction workers in there watching me go, talking to myself, going like this, and I go, this probably does look a little weird. So I tap my legs. But I thought that was really a fascinating and a simple thing you could do, and it's actually, and especially if you take people who've had very, very traumatic experiences, they use this in therapy now, and I find it has really changed the power of something old that we hold on to.
Well, a friend of mine did something like that. She was telling me about it, and I think hers were like, you know, she did it on various, you know, energy points.
It's acupuncture points.
Yeah,
it's like
but
here.
Also, you know, if they have sensory, I don't know, like I don't know a ton about this area, but it is. I say, hey, you know, why not try it? And something that I do in my seminars that I've converted a business analysis technique into something that people can use personally. So I don't know if anybody has ever read the Harvard Business School case about Toyota and the 5 whys and the manufacturing process that they used in Japan, and it was groundbreaking. Obviously, I think they only got to 4 whys with the whole like brake incidents that were happening, or the spontaneous acceleration. They may have dropped the 5th why, which led to some problems, but that's a joke. But they did not actually drop the 5th why. I have no idea why they're having those problems. But they would say something like, you know, the car was not painted properly. You know, why? Because the painting mechanism in the manufacturing plant in Okinawa, you know, is broken. Why? Because the service guy who comes every Friday didn't come this week. Why? Because he lives really far away. Why? You know, and it may lead to a discussion about like nearby housing during the week for manufacturing repair workers, right? And so it leads to the root cause and begins a
That's a great idea, the 5 whys. No matter what you're dealing with, take it down at least 5 whys.